It's time to look at some Miami Dolphins free agent targets following the 2025 NFL Draft. Miami was very clear about what they wanted to do this past weekend during the NFL Draft. They prioritized trenches and physicality, but there are still some holes on this Dolphins roster that need to be addressed. Before I look at the top needs and top targets for Miami, I do want to quickly recap all of the picks that the Dolphins made during this past weekend. In the first round, they took Kenneth Grant from Michigan, the defensive lineman. In round 2, they traded up to take Jonah Savaiinaea, the offensive lineman from Arizona. Then in round 5, they took Jordan Phillips, Jason Marshall Jr., Dante Trader Jr., the safety from Maryland. And they rounded out their draft by going running back, quarterback, D-line with Ollie Gordon II, Quinn Ewers, and Zeek Biggers. This leaves a lot of issues for Miami, and the Dolphins will absolutely be signing a player in an NFL free agency at some point. And when the Dolphins sign someone, we will make a video, so make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you turn on those notifications so you don't miss that video that we put out. And if you had your notifications on, you wouldn't have missed any content we put out this weekend around the draft as well, so make sure you do that right now. All right, after the draft, I am not being funny. Maybe I am. I don't know. But when you look at the Dolphins roster from top to bottom, there's only one need. And let's not confuse that statement. There are other positions that could be upgraded. But when you talk about pure, just actual need to sign someone, corner. That is the only thing that matters, because Jalen Ramsey is still more than likely than not to be traded this offseason due to his rift with the front office and the reports that have been flying out over the last 2 weeks. But you also needed a corner opposite of Ramsey before that even came out. I do not trust Cam Smith. I do not trust Storm Duck. I do not trust Ethan Bonner. Jason Marshall Jr. will not be ready to start week 1 in his rookie season as that 5th-round pick out of Florida either. So you need to go out and sign a corner, and I would argue that you likely need to sign 2 corners, because I do not trust those names that we just mentioned to start, especially if Ramsey is traded. So let's look at 6 Dolphins free agent targets. Spoiler alert, all of them will be cornerbacks here. And I think it's also important to note that later Monday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern time, is when the formula finally switches and these signings no longer affect comp picks. So that's when players, I think, could start to get signed in free agency. Rasul Douglas is likely going to be a top name to keep your eye on, the first target we're going to talk about today, because on Sunday afternoon, we actually had the report from Barry Jackson that I tweeted about. So also follow me on Twitter, by the way, because I'll talk about Fins daily. But the Miami Dolphins have been in contact with cornerback Rasul Douglas over the weekend, over the entire free agency period. The former Packers corner, who got traded not last year, but the year prior in 2023 to the Bills, played really well, but had a down 2024 season in Buffalo, which is why you saw the Bills make some moves for corners. They drafted Maxwell Harrison. They let Douglas go. They re-signed Christian Benford. Douglas was the odd man out. It's because he didn't have that good of a year in coverage. You see the completion to attempt. He got picked on a lot, had a poor QB rating when targeted, allowed 4 touchdowns as well. I do think Douglas is one of the top guys out there. He's definitely one of the better 4 or 5 corners still on the market. You hope that he would fit your system. He is more of a zone corner than a man corner, but we know that Anthony Weaver and this Dolphins defense switches their looks and schemes a lot, so I do believe he would be a fit, and hopefully he would be able to have a bounce-back season with the Fins if Miami actually did go out and sign Rasul Douglas to the Dolphins roster. But let me know. That was one of 6 corners we're talking about on today's show. Who is your top free agent target for the Miami Dolphins? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section on who you want the Dolphins to go out and sign at the cornerback position. The second player that we're going to go after and potentially target, I think, is one of the top veterans out there as well, Stephon Gilmore, the former Viking, the former Cowboy, the former Bill, the former New England Patriot as well. So maybe he wants to continue to get the infinity gauntlet of AFC East teams. Now, he did visit the Dallas Cowboys right before the draft. He was in Dallas at the Star at their building, so could be someone who re-signs with Dallas over the weekend. But I think he could still be in play for Miami. Did not have his best season this past year. His QB rating when targeted and completion percentage when targeted did take a little bit of a step up from 2023, but he is still a serviceable corner, and he is someone that I would trust to come in, be a true professional, headline this cornerback room for better or for worse at that CB1 or CB2 position, but also help kind of mentor maybe a Cam Smith a little bit, mentor Jason Marshall Jr., mentor Storm Duck, and would just be an overall good locker room presence on this defense as well. A true professional, and even if his play isn't as elite as we'd want it to be, I still think he would be a good addition to this cornerback room, either as a CB2 or a CB1. We're going to get to some more here in just a second, but we are sponsored by Game Time, the official ticketing partner of Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. And if you want to go see a live event this summer, get your tickets with Game Time, whether it's MLB tickets, NBA playoff tickets, concert tickets, it does not matter. They prioritize and specialize in last-minute deals. Save up to 60% off when you buy last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy show, theater events, and more. Get Game Time Picks. That feature makes ticket buying easier than ever. Quickly highlights the best deals in the stadium. All-in pricing shows you the total price of your ticket up front with no surprise fees at checkout. And you get a full panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy as well. Game Time has so many features that make purchasing your tickets so easy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. A corner that I did not expect to be still on the free agent market, but I also didn't think that the Dolphins would ever really go after him, is cornerback Mike Hilton, former Pittsburgh Steeler, former Cincinnati Bengal. He is on the plus side of 30 and getting old, but he is an intriguing guy. Now, he is mostly a nickel corner, and that is what he's done exclusively in his career. He's also one of the best blitzing corners in the NFL. He has consistently been someone that can be brought in off the edge and get after the quarterback, but also is a physical tackler in the run game. Now, as he is continuing to get older in age, it's tougher to be an elite nickel guy with all these young cats coming in the league, the shifty wide receivers inside. And if you did sign Mike Hilton, what would your plan be with Kader Kohou? Would the plan to move him to outside? Would it be to move Mike Hilton to outside? Because both Kohou and Hilton specialize in being corner nickels. But Hilton, someone who is good at rushing the passer, and I think that would be intriguing for Anthony Weaver because we saw in first year under Weaver last year run a lot of cornerback blitzes with Kohou, with Jalen Ramsey. So Hilton could be utilized in that role, and the looks you could have defensively would be so intriguing. So if you ended up trading Jalen Ramsey and you signed two veteran corners, I wouldn't be mad if they signed like a Rasul Douglas or a different outside corner and also brought in Mike Hilton on a cheaper contract. Be an intriguing option for the Fins. Another player that I could see the Fins targeting, James Bradberry, the corner that was not really in play last season. And we're going to look at his 2023 coverage stats before talking about 2024 because he didn't play last year. We'll explain more on that situation here in a second. But in 2022, James Bradberry was very good. In 2023, he was very, very bad. He was one of the most targeted corners in all of football last year, in 2023. He was terrible. And that comes actually out off of a year for Philly in 2022 where he was very, very good. Bradberry was borderline a cut candidate last season. There was also talks about moving him to safety in Philadelphia because that's how much he struggled in 2023. But he is someone that is very experienced and would be able to be someone to pick up this defense and scheme very, very quickly. But there is a concern with him not only through his play in 23, but also because of his health. He never played last season. Now, he dealt with an ankle/foot injury prior to the year in Philly, was expected to be brought off IR in like week 8, week 10, but just never came back. I'm talking to Chase Sr. of Eagles now, and he was telling me about the situation. So that could be a good thing where like he had a full year off to just get healthy, reset, and be back for 2025. It could also be something where it's like, well, he didn't play last year. He was bad in 2023. It's been 2 years removed since he played good football. Would we be signing a bum? If you sign Bradberry, I think it would likely just be a vet min cheap deal. So maybe you would like to take the flyer on Bradberry. But out of all the corners we're talking about today, probably at the very bottom of my list. Next corner we'll talk about, Shaquil Griffin. And him and Bradberry are both on the bottom of my list here. The first three we talked about, I'd sign over these two. And the last player we'll talk about, I would sign over these two as well. Griffin, an intriguing player that has bounced around the league, had a couple interceptions last season for the Minnesota Vikings, but obviously former Seattle Seahawk. He's got solid size to play on the outside, but did not grade well in coverage last season, was targeted a lot. Griffin is a player that I'm not pounding the table saying, let's go get Shaq Griffin. I would be much more open to grabbing a Gilmore, Rasul Douglas, even a Mike Hilton, or maybe the last guy we'll talk about here, an Asante Samuel Jr., labeled as my top cornerback target for a long time now. Now, he is the youngest out of all of these corners we're talking about today. He is just off of his rookie contract of 4 years. He's still out there, but there's deep rumors that he is already a Minnesota Viking. We actually talked about those rumors a month ago. It seems like that could still be the case for Asante Samuel Jr., a smaller corner at 5'10 and change, has injury history, but plays on the outside. I like Asante Samuel Jr. a lot, man. He's been one of the starting corners for the Chargers over the last 4 seasons, ever since he was a rookie. If he was truly still available to be signed, I'm grabbing Asante Samuel Jr. before anyone else. But the truth of the story is I believe he already has a handshake deal with the Minnesota Vikings because he was spotted in a club 3 weeks ago in Miami, where he's from, wearing Vikings apparel, and he told someone apparently, allegedly this is, that he was already signing with the Vikings, but it won't be announced until after the draft, because remember, if you get signed after the draft tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time, it does not affect comp pick formula. I think a Samuel Jr. might sign tomorrow with the Vikings, and if it's true and he does sign tomorrow, well, then the story was true. But let me know, should the Dolphins sign a cornerback in free agency this week following the NFL draft? Type S for sign, type P for pass. I truly believe they will. I don't know if it will be this week, but I do think a cornerback addition to this roster is coming this upcoming month stretch here at worst. So let me know your thoughts down below. But make sure you are subscribed because, like I said off the top of the video, when the Dolphins do sign a cornerback, we will make a video breaking down that signing and talking about what the Fins could do after the fact. So hit that sub button. Stay on the lookout.